Welcome back. Now, of course, we have the mountain range, but one thing we don't have is the river that runs through the middle. What we will do to create this is create a line, give it some thickness, and use the height field project node to cut the river into the mountain. Before I go forward though, I want to lock this camera to make sure we don't accidentally change it. Okay, jump back into the node and drop down a curve node. Go to the viewport and switch to the top down view by pressing space and 2. In the curve node, we will drop down some points, following the ravine in the middle of this height field. And right click, stop building. Okay. We'll go to the curve. It's very sharp at the moment, and to fix this, we'll switch this to NURBS. We also probably don't need this many points, but we'll leave it as it is for now. Of course, we need to give this some thickness before we can project it onto the height field. So we'll drop down an extrude node. Plug this in. Let's put in 20. Of course, this is in the wrong direction. To fix this, we will put down a polyframe node. Deactivate the normal name and the tangent name. And let's make our bitangent the new normal. For context, if you are new to Houdini and what these attributes mean, N is for normal, and it is a universal attribute that exists already. And you can manipulate it, and you can make it whatever you want it to be. So on the curve, the initial normal was in the y-axis, and the bitangent was perpendicular to this on the z-axis. So using the polyframe, we use the bitangent, which is pointing in this direction, as the new normal. So when we use the extrude node, it follows that new normal as opposed to the old one. One thing that you might notice with the extrude node is that when we raise the depth scale, the center line stays where it is, and we just add the depth in an outward fashion. But what we want to happen is we want the curve to be the center of this extrusion. This is pretty simple to create. We just have to use the depth scale and the depth offset. We can copy and we can paste it in here. In this case, we'll use relative references, so when we update the depth scale, it also updates this depth offset. When we first do this, it doesn't work. But with a couple of simple math instructions, we can fix this. If we divide this by 2, add this all in brackets, and multiply this by -1. This ensures that the main curve that we created here is in the center of this extrusion. This will make it easier to manipulate later if we want to change anything. We don't need the front face or the back face. No output, no output. And we'll remove shared edges to make sure that we eliminate any errors that may occur. Okay, let's convert this to polygons, as this is what the height field project node looks for. it has more subdivisions than we need, so we can reduce this. Awesome. So now we'll drop down a height field project node. Plug this in here. You can see that this is green, as is this, which indicates that it is looking for a height field, whereas this is grey, which means that it's looking for a polygon. Nothing will happen at first. We have to change a few settings. Set the combine method to replace. And the max ray distance we can play with to find what works best for us. Leaving it as is fine. We do have a couple of options in Houdini 18 that we didn't have in 17.5. One is mask mode, which allows you to use the river as a mask. For instance, if I invert this, you can see that we start to mask out the height field by the geometry. The other is super sampling, which just allows us to get some more information from the projection. Okay, so what's really handy about this setup is that it's procedural. If we go back to the curve and we don't want this river to cut through this part of the mountain, we can grab any point we like and we can move it. We can also go to the extrude and change the width whenever we like. Okay, now let's move on to the most important node, which is the height field erode node.